Hello everyone, in this video I'm going to be showing you how to beat the boss Mergo's Wet Nurse in Bloodborne. Now this will be the last boss you can face unless you choose to go for the other two optional bosses. Off to a great start. This is my first attempt at this boss. Stay away from the front end if at all possible, and you can see why right there. It has a lot of swords and it'll use them all really quickly. This reminds me of the boss from Dark Souls 3, the Dancer, and it's just annoying to deal with all those weapons. So even to the backside it'll still hit you with it. So this is where the heals come in handy because you can kind of out heal it. It's not the easiest to parry from what I've experienced. I tried a couple times there, but I just went for the straight damage route because I found that worked best for me. Now the rally mechanic's nice, but sometimes when he attacks he'll do another attack right after, so you want to watch out for that. Now he'll use this attack here, and when they're using this, that's your timing to go in and attack from behind as much as you can, because I found when it was in this form, for some reason it would face away from me if I stayed at his backside and dodged some of those attacks. I don't know why, but it stayed away from me for the most part whenever I was at its backside. I don't know if this was a glitch. This was literally my first attempt fighting it, and I didn't know what I was doing. I wanted to get a few charge attacks in while I was here, so I did that. I'm using the saw cleaver. It's powered up, I think +7 or +8 at this time. It's not that powerful, but it gets the job done if you can get a lot of hits in. Now, what worked best for me was just sticking to the butt here. This is similar to all big bosses in any From Software game, especially Bloodborne. Like the Cleric Beast, which is the first boss of the game, can be difficult, but sometimes it's just easiest to go for its backside. Now, the fog cleared and it went back to its normal attacks here. I got a good chunk of its health bar down, so I was happy with that. I'm not sure what the purpose of that fog attack is, if it's meant to do what it did there, but when I got to the backside, it wasn't able to hit me very easily, so I really like that. Now, one issue is when it does the fog attack next time, it's going to bring in a buddy, I guess a shadow clone, if you will, and you got to deal with that one as well, so it's kind of annoying. But the best thing that I found worked is just sticking to the backside as much as possible. You can use some items, but I'm not the biggest fan of using items in boss. Like, it's okay to use items, but this boss doesn't really necessarily need it all too much. The best way to deal with it is just get to the backside as much as possible, strafe to the side, roll back if you need to. I find that with some bosses it's best to roll sideways. For this one, certain attacks warrant different attack styles. Rolling backwards when it's doing the sweeps at you is going to help you get out of the range, whereas rolling towards it during some of them will help you get in and get some hits in. Now it did this attack again, but what it'll do is it'll bring in its buddy, the shadow clone there, and you got to deal with that too. So again, as best as you can, stick to the backside, but when it brings in that other one, the other one will start attacking you too. I found that the clone didn't do as much damage as the real Mergo Wet Nurse, so use that information how you will. Just run like heck, I guess. It will disappear if it gets hit, and then it'll reappear. Really frustrating, but this phase doesn't last too long. But the real boss won't really pay too much attention to you compared to what it did in the prior one. Now, sticking to the back again is your biggest tip here. When it does that arm stretch attack, it opens itself up for attacks. So when you see that, try to get around and punish it for that attack. Now, it gets really difficult near the end here because I find that the attacks get a lot quicker and it just becomes a more annoying fight in general. The Wet Nurse is a tricky boss overall, but I was able to beat it on my first attempt, and I'm no pro Souls player. I'm just a good old-fashioned Souls enjoyer, and I was able to beat it with relative ease. This was my first attempt. It wasn't like some of the bosses where you're bashing your head against the wall just trying to kill it. I mostly leveled my character into vitality and endurance. I find that I work best when I got a good amount of stamina to attack with and dodge with, but also a good amount of health too. I put the remaining points into my strength and skill just so I was able to wield Ludwig's Holy Blade, but I switched out for the Saw Cleaver because I like the quick attacks that you get with this, and I found that it was able to do a good amount of damage. Now it keeps jumping out of the way for my attacks. I almost died right there had I not dodged that. That is a pretty much insta-kill combo, so I was a little bit safer. I used 2 potions there. Now, there is some people that can do these with no hits. This boss is really hard to not get hit by because it'll swing at you from behind as well. And my old strategy of when your stamina bar is depleted to swing whenever you get the stamina back doesn't work too well unless you're near the end here. I find that that's the only real time you want to be depleting your stamina all the way, is when you're coming close to completion. Like here, I'm just trying to get the attacks in as quickly as possible because I just want this done and over with. But that's how you can beat Mergo's Wet Nurse in Bloodborne. I hope you found this video useful, and if you did, please hit that subscribe button below and check out my other videos. Thank you so much.